Hello and welcome to the first episode of Let's Shop for a New Wireless Router in 2021 series. Here I'm gonna share with you how I personally would go about buying a new wireless router. My current wireless router, which I like it a lot, unfortunately is no longer capable of handling my home network. And if you're wondering why, I actually talked about it in that video, and feel free to check it out if you're interested. So I'm officially in the market for a new wireless router. And in this episode, I'm gonna check out some budget wireless routers and see if I can find my next router there. And if not, then I'll have to continue searching. But before we start, I just need to quickly talk about a couple of points first. Number one. By the budget wireless router, I mean it should be less than $100 obviously at the time of making this video, and my source to check the price is Amazon.com, and I'm only gonna consider the original listing price and not any temporary sales or promotions that might be going on. Number two, because many old and outdated routers that I don't really want to consider also fall in that category, I decided to only check out the routers that are at least Wi-Fi 5 and have the minimum theoretical Wi-Fi speed of 1700 megabits per second. In other words, the router should be AC 1700 or faster. Number three, this is not a sponsored video and it is purely based on my perspective and my priorities when it comes to buying a new wireless router. Obviously other people might have different opinions, which is great and I respect that. But in this video series, I'm just gonna take you with me as I'm shopping for a new wireless router, and I hope you like it. So these are the wireless routers that met the criteria and made it to the first round of my shopping list. In the first round, I'm gonna find out which three are the best ones, and I'll explain in a minute how I'm gonna do that. But in the second round, I'm gonna actually see which of those three could be my next wireless router. So without further ado, let's begin. In this round, I'm gonna compare the wireless routers in 8 different categories and give them scores from 1 to 10 depending on how well I think they're doing in each category. And the 3 wireless routers with the highest scores will qualify for the next round. The first category, and probably the easiest one to compare, is the ports and interfaces. All of them have 5 Ethernet ports, 1 WAN and 4 LAN ports, and the speed of each port is maximum 1 gigabits per second. But the situation for the USB ports is different because these two have 2 USB ports, one USB 3 and one USB 2. These ones have single USB 3 ports, these ones have single USB 2 ports, and finally these two have no USB ports at all. The next category is CPU and RAM, and obviously the wireless router with a faster CPU and more RAM will get a higher score. The next category is Wi-Fi technology. All of them are actually dual band routers. So my highest score in this category, which is gonna be 8, will be given to 2 routers. Number 1 to the one and only Wi-Fi 6 router here. Number 2 to the fastest wireless router here. We know that this speed is only theoretical, but at least on paper, this is the fastest router here. I'm gonna give my second highest score to these 2 routers that are 1900 megabits per second. And the rest of them are more or less similar in terms of Wi-Fi speed and technology. So I'm gonna give them the same score. The next category is features. With no hesitation, I'm gonna give 9 to the Asus RT-AC68U. It has a great quality of service, which includes an adaptive QoS and a traditional advanced QoS. There is parental controls with web and apps filter. It can be a print server, media server, FTP server, Samba, and a download master. You can even connect a 3G, 4G modem to it. There is traffic analyzer, dynamic DNS, and you can have up to 6 guest Wi-Fi networks. Some of these features are missing in the other Asus router, so I'm gonna give 7 to the other Asus and also to the Netgear R6700, which has more or less similar features. The lowest score in this category, which is going to be 3, will be given to the Netgear R6700AX, which as you can see doesn't have too many features. The next category is operation modes. By default, these are all wireless routers. The Asus AC66U can also be configured as an access point, media bridge, repeater, and an AI mesh device, which is great, so I'm gonna give it 10. And unfortunately, I cannot give anything more than 2 to the Motorola MR2600 because it can only be a wireless router. Category number 6 is security. The Asus AC66U gets the highest point here as well. As far as the wireless security goes, it has WPA and WPA2 personal and enterprise. There is SPI firewall, dust protection, network service filter, URL filter, and port filter. It can be a PPTP and OpenVPN server. It can also be a PPTP, OpenVPN, and L2TP VPN client. It also has a free commercial-grade network security feature called AiProtection Pro by Microtech, and it does intrusion prevention system, infection detection and blocking, and more, which is great. The two Netgear routers have a more or less similar security feature called Netgear Armor by Bitdefender, which unlike the AI protection, the Netgear Armor is not free, so these will get 7. These 4 routers which have some sort of a VPN server will get 5, and the ones with no VPN server will get 4, 3, and 2. Category 7 is support for third-party firmware. These 5 wireless routers unfortunately do not support any third-party firmware, so I'm gonna have to give them 1. The last category, but definitely not the least one, is price. These are their prices on Amazon at the time of making this video, but because they might change, you can check out their links in the video description for their latest prices. The majority of them, as you can see, are $99.99 or close to that, but interestingly enough, the TP-Link Archer C8 is only half that price, so it definitely gets a 10 from me for this category. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of my 2021 Best Budget Wireless Router Awards is the Asus RT-AC68U-B1. I'll be honest with you, I was kind of expecting that to be amongst the first 3, even though it's an old wireless router, because it's a combination of good hardware and capable software, which is great. And it looks like, taking everything into account, that is the best budget wireless router in 2021. I mean, in my opinion. And in the second place, we have the Netgear Nighthawk R6700, not the Wi-Fi 6 one, but the Wi-Fi 5 one. That actually tells me it looks like currently we don't have a very good budget Wi-Fi 6 router. I guess in order to keep the price low, they have to sacrifice a lot. And as we saw, the R6700AX, aka the only Wi-Fi 6 router on my list, didn't have very exciting features. So personally, I'm not going to consider any budget Wi-Fi 6 router at this time. Hopefully next year. And finally, in the third place, we have the TP-Link Archer C8. In the beginning, I wasn't even expecting that to be even in the top 5. But as I moved from one category to the other one, I realized that could be one of those good bang for the buck kind of router. Especially for those who just need a simple Wi-Fi at home and maybe don't want to use all the bells and whistles that come, for example, with the Asus router. Besides, I can pretty much buy 2 of these for the price of one of those. Then I can use one of them as a wireless router and maybe the other one as an access point. And that brings us to the second round of this sort of competition. Here is where I should decide which of those three will be my next wireless router. Basically, which one I should buy. And the answer is none of them, because honestly, every one of those would be a downgrade to my current wireless router. And I definitely need an upgrade. So I guess I wasted everybody's time. But on the plus side, at least now I know there's no budget wireless router out there that is better than my current wireless router. And I have to continue searching. And that's what I'm gonna do in the next video. Okay, so as I'm editing this video, I realized that I should add a couple of points before I end the video. First of all, this video was long overdue and I apologize for that. I really do. I guess there was some sort of a hiccup in my life, if you will, that didn't let me fully focus on making videos. Hopefully that's over and there's not going to be any more delays in the upcoming videos. Number 2. I tried to be as accurate as I could when I gathered all those information about those wireless routers. And my main source was the manufacturer's websites. Now, there were times though that the information I was looking for wasn't there, so I had to rely on some third-party websites. Because of that, and also the fact that every now and then they might introduce different hardware versions of the same device, which obviously is going to be a little bit different. If you're looking for a budget wireless router, please do your own research so you can make sure you have the latest and most updated information about that wireless router. And last but definitely not least, I would like to give a shout out to Amaresh. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Amaresh is right now my only Patreon, which means a lot to me because even in the past couple of months, which I was not really active on YouTube, he kept supporting this channel. So thank you, Amaresh, and also thank you for watching this video, liking it, sharing it, and also not unsubscribing. I guess that was it. I will see you soon.